Hey everybody, it is Kellen Nitro for Nitro Maniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. A very shaggy looking Kellen Nitro. I need to go for a old shave ski and a haircut here one of these days. But anyways, just concluded watching NXT Takeover Portland. This took place on February 18th, 2020 from the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. Not the Rose Garden, that's where the Winterhawks play. This is where the Trailblazers play, the basketball team. And, hashtag ripcity and all that stuff. Here are my thoughts on the card, and feel free to post yours below in the comments. Opening contest was for the NXT North American Championship. The champion Keith Lee defended his title against Dominik Dijakovic in a classic 2020 match. They had 2020 vision in that match. But just before we get to that, a live performance by Poppy to open. She kind of has like a typo negative vibe to her performances, I find, a little bit. Also not very motivated. It looked kind of not half-assing it on stage, but just kind of bored, just going about business, being there, and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if that's kind of the vibe that she gives off, or the vibe that she does performance-wise and that stuff, if you see her live or whatever. But that's what we've seen tonight, at least. All right, back to Lee and Dijakovic. Mark Henry said in the pre-show that this would be the one to watch, and it kicks off the show. It was a Haas fight. A Hurricanrana by Lee to start. That was an eye-popper and attention-getter. Kind of lumbering, slow, old-school pace to begin, and just basically working the basics, getting the crowd kind of worked up a little bit. Dijakovic then hitting a early TNA style, AJ Styles-esque spiral tap from the top rope. Wow. The dude's 6'7". Dijakovic again also hitting an avalanche DVD from the top rope too. Mega spots by two bigger dudes. Keith Lee hitting a pounce. Shout out to Monty Brown, the former TNA. Was he a world champ? I think so. In TNA and an NWA world champ. He might have won the X Division belt too. I can't remember. Two double chops by Lee, a super kick by Dijakovic, and the sequence ends with a Sean O'Hare-esque swanton by Dijakovic to the outside to a seated Keith Lee. Man, that was just an incredible sequence on the outside. That was one of my favorite sequences all night. Spirit bomb by Lee, and not even a 1 count. An avalanche Spanish fly by Dijakovic, and only 2. But Lee hits the Big Bang Catastrophe, BBC. Meh. For the 1-2-3. I have the little eye-rolling emoji. If I see what he did there. Post-match, respect shown. Didn't really hit all the boxes for me, but still cool to see them hit cruiserweight spots. Yeah, this thing was to me, it didn't really, jive for me for the opening match, just because these guys have faced each other a couple times already on NXT TV leading up to this. But for where it was on the card, I thought it was a great opening match, and I thought that it was also a awesome, scene setter, if you will, an awesome opening contest for what we were about to see later that night. Up next is a street fight between Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, and I kind of wish that this was the first time that they touched since War Games. They had this match on NXT TV a few weeks back with Tegan Nox getting the Duke, so here we go. This is actually the second match they've had since War Games, but this one is under street fight rules, as the first match was kind of more of the auspices of a one-on-one contest, a straight-up one-on-one contest, so... hot start as Kai attacks Nox from behind, but Nox hits a spear for the barricade. Kai grabs a cricket bat, of all things. It was hiding underneath the ring, and she goes for Nox, but she ends up nailing the ring post with it, and it's snapping in half. I have no idea where the broken half of that cricket bat went. It might have went into the crowd, so hopefully nobody got hurt by that. It wouldn't be the first time that Plunder kind of flew off here in the past 2 or 3 years. I think at an NXT show or something, and gouged somebody in the head or something with it. It's heads up if you're going to one of those things. It's an interesting spot between two non-North American competitors. Don't forget, Tegan Nox is Welsh and Dakota Kai is from New Zealand. So, of course, cricket would be huge with both of them. So, A huge belly to back suplex into a trash can by Nox. Another top rope choke slam later on in the match by Nox. She is known as Lady Kane in mini circles. And that was followed up by the Molly go round, and her influence, of course, has been publicly stated, is Molly Holly, and only a 2 count off of that. Lots of plunder here as Nox attacks Kai's knee with a laptop and a chain on the outside. Nox should have went for the pin. Now we're getting towards the finish of the match. Nox should have went for the pin, but instead sets up a table in the ring and tries to basically Pillmanize her neck with or do like a concerto thing, but more paralyze her neck than anything else. And we see the kind of re-debut on NXT TV of Raquel Gonzalez, formerly known as Reina Gonzalez. If you've been to any live, access festivals and that stuff like I have over the past few years, you have seen her working the NXT, like Worlds Collide and that circuit. The NXT, kind of the matches that are happening in the fan access arena while all the signings are going on and that stuff. She's done tons of those. I've seen her on Rumble Weekend last year in 2019, kind of doing like a pissed off cowboy gimmick. So, of course, she's affectionately known to a lot of fans online as Pam Hansen instead of Stan Hansen. And the WrestleMania weekend as well in New York City, she was doing a lot of matches at the Docks in Brooklyn. So good for her. It's a repackage. It's Raquel Gonzalez now. It looks like she is going to be the Diesel to Dakota Kai's HBK. We'll have to wait and see. Some sort of affiliation between Kai and Gonzalez going forward. Great match, great story. Kai grabs the pin after Raquel Gonzalez interferes and drives Nox through the table, and there was a table botch. You will see this on Botchamania, guaranteed, if you haven't seen it on any of the Twitter GIFs or whatever tonight after watching the show. It was fairly spectacular. The table kind of didn't break. It just sort of kind of stepped out of the way when she hit it. Tegan's a tough kid, but man, she's just had the most rotten luck with bumps and with her knees and everything like that since signing with WWE. Poor kid. Great match, good story. And then we get the announcement for NXT UK Takeover Dublin, April 26th on the WWE Network is the next UK Takeover. Next match was the big grudge match, one of the selling points of the card for me. Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. Shout out to the guy in the front row with the Rick and Morty sign. Show me what you've got. And yes, this card has shown me what it has so far. Nigel McGuinness quips that Gargano has a record 8 straight takeover wins going into tonight, foreshadowing of things to come, perhaps in a loss or a win. So you can take it either way. A refreshing start here as they keep it technical to open. It's amazing how close these guys are in move sets and etc. It's like Gargano is a North American version of Balor, and Balor is a European version of Gargano. This would be a match that Gabe Sapolsky would drool over back in the classic Ring of Honor days to book. So, it's kind of cool that we see it here. Match has a real long pace set to it. I think the runtime is, rewinding back a little bit, the runtime on the Nox Kai street fight was 13:24. The runtime for this one is the second longest of the card, sitting at 27:22 for the evening. Gargano, after suffering some knee damage, hits a plancha on the outside. Balor counters, but Gargano fights out. Slingshot spear, only 2 for Gargano. Balor nails a Pele kick, and Gargano lands on top of Finn after the Pele kick. This is one of my favorite spots of the entire night. Only a 2 count off of that. Yeah. So Balor nails the Pele, reminiscent of the whole angle to get this thing started, with standoff with the Undisputed Era and everything. But Gargano kind of just dead weights, and before Finn could get back up or move for the pin, Gargano just kind of avalanches himself right on top of Balor and almost gets a quick 2 count. Just kind of just like the tree fell on top of him. Just bam. Awesome stuff. Shotgun dropkick by Gargano into the barricade. And then comes the finish of the match. Like I said, the runtime, again, I mentioned it earlier, second longest of the night, like I had mentioned, 27-22. Is Balor hitting the 1916 DDT and getting the 1-2-3 as soon as they both roll back into the ring. It had a very long pace to it. This match, I think they were aiming for 30. They may have trimmed 2 or 3 minutes off of it, but man, this was a match of the night contender for sure. I enjoyed this one. This is Balor's best match he's had in a long time, and this is also Gargano's best match he's had in a long time. And it kind of sets things up now after this, is that so many questions being raised, and we'll talk about the questions here afterwards, after we're done running through the card and that stuff. But this is the start of kind of generating some questions of what's next, right? What was next for us on the card was the NXT Women's title was on the line next. The champion Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, and it's hard not to look at this thing as just a setup match for WrestleMania for Ripley, but in kind of ways it was a setup match for Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania to move the angle along with Charlotte Flair. But Belair, of course, had a great run in a Rumble match, and Ripley Charlotte, of course, the rumored match for Mania. Belair, a heck of an athlete. Ripley getting better every time out. Kind of a cringy botch, though, on a vertical suplex by Belair on Ripley. Ripley kind of landed more on her shoulder than, the back or anything else after going up there. And so that was kind of a scary moment. It was like, don't dislocate your shoulder now. Your money angle is coming up, Please stay healthy. A hair whip by Belair. She's known for that. A huge back body drop to the outside by Belair on Ripley, followed by a tope by Bianca. Of course, they were selling that Ripley had kind of tweaked her ankle at the Rumble, being eliminated from the Rumble match, and on top of it had been, shall we say, nursing a little bit of a ankle injury throughout too, and Belair was working on the ankle a little bit. However, as Belair was climbing the ropes going for, I think, a moonsault, Ripley hits the riptide after grabbing Bianca off the ropes and getting the 1-2-3. Now post-match, we have a sneak attack by Charlotte Flair as she jumps Rhea Ripley post-match, and she grabs the mic, says she's thought about it, and as the Royal Rumble winner, she officially declares that Flair Ripley is official for Mania. So now, as of tonight, as of February 16th, both Rumble winners on the men's and women's side have declared their intentions for WrestleMania. So now, kind of the two main events, if you will, are confirmed for that card, where you have Drew McIntyre confirming to take on Brock Lesnar for the WWE title on the Raw side, and now on the NXT side, bringing that title into vision and into a main event scene, if you will, for WrestleMania, which is strange, but hey, it's a different thing for Tampa. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley one-on-one. So, and Vince is supposedly really high on Rhea Ripley, so this is going to be a fantastic build. They're going to give it the A1 effort, and of course they're going to try and top AEW on those Wednesday night ratings, and that will probably be the program going forward that they'll be looking to do so. Well, one of them. We'll talk about the rest of them here as the card continues, but you can see the dominoes for Mania now are starting to kind of fit together. NXT tag titles were on the line next as the Broserweights, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, taking on the Undisputed Era team of Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. The Broserweights make me kind of laugh out loud. They make me lol. The golf cart entrance is epic with the Dusty Cup. The entrance t-shirts were great. The sing-song bit with the mic and the karaoke at the bottom, not so much. I kind of thought they kind of killed the gimmick after the first couple times of doing it, but they do what they do. The Broserweights won the Dusty Classic, therefore getting the title shot here. A great back and forth. Broserweights look good as a tag team. This is kind of I don't want to say my first time watching them, as I did watch them a bit during the Dusty Classic. I watched them in the match with the Grizzled Young Vets from NXT UK, and they looked really good. Which I guess would be 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. I think that's the last time I actually sat down and watched NXT TV leading into this thing. Great MMA exchange by Riddle and O'Reilly. Oh yeah, you put both those guys in on a one-on-one, it's going to be a fun match. O'Reilly pushes Dunn into Riddle, knocking Riddle off the apron. Is that teasing dissension a bit? Well, there was a couple of times. The second time here was another malfunction, allows the Undisputed Era team to hit the Chasing the Dragon tandem finisher, but only a 2 count. But the discretion is short-lived as the tandem final flash hits on Bobby Fish in the ring. 1, 2, 3. We have new champs, the Broserweights, and the runtime for that one is 16:58. So just over 15 minutes, 16:58, according to the Wikipedia timer. I have down Pete and Matt's most epic adventure continues, yes, and they will be the NXT Tag Team Champions, and this is good. This is kind of, if this is leading to a feud between both of them, we'll wait and see where that leads to, obviously, but you can get a lot of humor out of these guys, as these guys have shown over the week and over the Instagram posts and that stuff that they do, that they are quite humorous. So it's going to be very funny and very entertaining watching them build towards WrestleMania and whoever the challengers are, whether it's a rematch with Fish and O'Reilly or for Takeover, I guess the night before, which was announced, Takeover Tampa. If you bought the travel package, you probably already got your ticket. April 4th, 2020, Tampa Bay Amalie Arena. It's going to be a hot event and part of the WrestleMania weekend cavalcade of events, of which there are 2 freaking many on Mania weekend. But proud to announce it here that Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited will be posting some recaps of some events, whatever I can catch on the old network or iPay-per-view streams and that stuff throughout the weekend. I think I'm kind of going to start to formulate my list of things that I'm going to take a look at what the prices are and pre-order and that stuff over the next week or two, and over the Thursday to Friday to Saturday, and then of course WrestleMania on the Sunday, Monday Night Raw on the Monday, and that's pretty much it. No SmackDown this year to worry about. So it's going to be a very busy Mania week, but we still have one match to talk about before that. Tommaso Ciampa versus Adam Cole and the NXT title on the line here. Mansoor on the kickoff show said that the Undisputed Era's prophecy of gold could come to an end tonight, and the UE lost the tag belts just in the match before, so Adam Cole, the only champion the Undisputed Era has now at this point. A good technical start, tons of outside action follows. Ciampa on offense. Cole finally reverses the offense and drives Ciampa into the announce table with a German suplex. And of course, they're selling the neck. Is the neck surgically repaired enough for Ciampa to, be in there and be in the ring with the guys, and be competitive enough and potentially get the win? However, Ciampa comes back, holding on a bit, gets a 2 count from the crucifix bomb, and an air raid crash by Ciampa. Again, only 2. Power bomb through the table by Ciampa on Cole. Huge pop from the crowd. A 2 count from the Project Ciampa finisher, and Cole crashes and burns on a tope attempt. And about this time, a little bit later on, the Undisputed Era rushes down to ringside and attempts to interfere, and all 3 of them are thwarted, with Strong getting hit with the Willow's Bell and Fish and O'Reilly being dispatched in short order. A last shot by Adam Cole that allows Adam Cole to get the last shot in, only a 2 count, and Ciampa hits the fairy tale ending, but no ref, as the ref was wiped out in the aftermath of the last shot attempt by Cole. Johnny Gargano then hits ringside wearing a DIY t-shirt from the Worlds Collide event a month earlier. You remember they reunited to take on Mustache Mountain in the Dream Tag Team match. Well, they hit ringside and snatches the NXT title away from Ciampa. Ciampa was going to use it to hopefully land that one final blow on Adam Cole and get the free count. Ciampa wondering what's going on. Johnny, what are you doing? Well, Gargano blasts Ciampa with the belt, and it looks like the feud is back on between Gargano and Ciampa. Cole retains by just draping himself over a prone Ciampa for a 1-2-3, and it looks like we've got Gargano versus Ciampa for Mania weekend. Finally, maybe the blow off now. Roles reversed. but that'll be one of the programs we'll be watching big time on Mania weekend. Will be the blow-off, finally, between Gargano and Ciampa. Alright, out of 10, I'll give this TakeOver a 8 out of 10. I thought it was very satisfactory. The match of the night, I think, was Gargano and Belair, with the street fight between Kai and Tegan Knox, and Ciampa, Adam Cole kind of tied for that second spot. Reason being, like I said, the opener, while good, didn't really click all the boxes for me, and there was enough cringiness in the street fight to kind of elevate it up, and kind of make it a like a must watch, and it'd be a must watch again for me later on down the line, especially the ending of it, because that botch is both simultaneously hilarious and cringeworthy. So it's cringe-hilarious, I guess you could call it that way. And that might be a good shirt one day. I'll have to bank that. But anyways, Ciampa and Cole put on a excellent title match. However, the problem is it doesn't seem like there is a standalone number one contender for the NXT title coming out of here for Mania weekend. You could argue that maybe Balor might be the guy to take on Cole now for the NXT title, but the issue is now you have to turn Balor back to a face. After seeing this awesome heel run he's been on. Does Adam Cole turn face now as the champion? But he just won via a cowardly way. We know that Ciampa and Gargano have their deal. So maybe it's Gargano, Ciampa with Adam Cole in there, and it's a triple threat coming up at NXT TakeOver Tampa. We'll have to see what happens there. So many questions. We know that Rhea Ripley will be defending the NXT Women's title at WrestleMania. Is she involved in anything the night before at NXT TakeOver Tampa? Could there be two title defenses in the same weekend? I mean, I doubt it, because you're putting a lot of money and putting a lot of push into this. But could there be a third contender for that NXT Women's title coming out of the deal here at coming out of TakeOver Portland? Where does Dakota Kai now fit into this? Because this looks like that this is setting up to be a big launch for her. Also, Tegan Knox as well. We'll have to see what her medical condition is after this one, because she could be banged up a little bit after tonight. So on and so forth. So lots of questions for coming out of NXT, and enough to maybe help them out in the ratings a little bit this week. Against AEW, but they're going to go up against some stiff stuff with AEW. I think this week is the week. Yeah, I think this week is the week where they have the cage match between Wardlow and Cody. I think that as well. There's the Iron Man match. What is it this week? I've one of the two. I think that it's either the Iron Man match this week or the cage match. The Iron Man match, of course, between Pac and Omega. I think that's it. I think it is the Iron Man match between Pac and Omega this week, and then next week is the Cody Wardlow cage match. So, and already those are two really hyped, quote-unquote, hyped main events. So, we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, like what I say, disagree with what I say, comment below. You can tweet me at Twitter at KellenNitro. Follow me on all my social medias. They're all the same deal. And share this video and like and subscribe. Alright, folks. Later days, happy wrestling watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kellen Nitro, Later Days. And oh yeah, the standalone NXT TakeOver format for a Sunday pay-per-view spot, and just kind of devoting it as its own special. Do more of that, especially during the summer and the fall months where nothing is happening, because this gets people talking big time. Like this was good. This is the type of show that you want to go into WrestleMania weekend with. This was fantastic. So, all right, folks, later days.